Good evening. My name is Caleb Ludlow. I'm a senior at Langley High School, and I'm speaking here tonight on behalf of sanctioning boys volleyball as a high school sport. So volleyball is the fastest growing team sport for boys and young men in the United States. The game's popularity among young men has soared by 22% over the past 5 years in the total of the US, not including Fairfax County. Volleyball is also considered one of the top 10 safest sports, with the concussion rate being incredibly low, but we'll still need our wonderful trainers to help with splinted fingers. And in my opinion, when compared with the multiple other sports I've played, it's one of the most positive in terms of cooperation and fun and team building. There's been a recent push for boys volleyball, and in an effort to make the sport official, many schools in Northern Virginia have raised awareness by creating interest clubs. This led me to start my school's interest club with my brother to promote the sport that I wish had been officially sanctioned when I was a freshman. I was amazed by how supportive my school's administration and girls volleyball coach were in allowing us to practice in our school's auxiliary gym and wear our school's colors and names in the multiple club competitions around here. There's something special about playing for your school. Last year, I played for a club attached to another school, and after playing this year for my own school, it is far more rewarding to play with your classmates and friends and wear your school's name. I mostly want the interest club and team that I hope to start to become something more when I'm in college. And I want all of the young men in Northern Virginia to have the chance to play volleyball in high school. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is student number 2.
Hello, my name is Seth Ludlow, and I'm a sophomore at Langley High School. I'm also speaking here today on behalf of making boys volleyball an official high school sport. So currently there are 73 high schools in Virginia that sponsor boys volleyball. And in Northern Virginia, as you probably already know, Northern Virginia makes up 40% of the population of Virginia, yet there's no schools in Northern Virginia that do sponsor boys volleyball. So why is Northern Virginia lagging behind? This fall, I played in the Nova High School Boys Volleyball League with my brother, Caleb, which had a record high of 35 teams with more than 380 boys, which is a whopping 200% increase from 3 years earlier. While in this league, I felt more positivity from both my team and from opponents than I ever have in any of the other sports I play, such as soccer or basketball. So how can we implement this in schools? First, to address the issue of interest. About 1 year ago, a petition was put out in Northern Virginia in support of making boys volleyball an official high school sport. This petition garnered over 2,500 signatures. Along with the 200% increase in the Nova High School Boys Volleyball League, as well as many others who may have not expressed their desire for volleyball vocally, there's plenty of interest. Additionally, boys volleyball would be inexpensive to implement in high schools because of the existing equipment from girls volleyball. The additional costs could easily be covered by fundraising and player sign-up costs. I've played volleyball since I was 8, and I can confidently say that it has been the most positive sports environment I've been a part of. I've made great friends and amazing memories through volleyball, as I'm sure many others have. The decision to make boys volleyball an official high school sport would provide a valuable community to so many, and I truly hope you can help us to implement it. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is student number 3.
Good evening. My name is Sean Prendergast, and I'm the president of the Woodland Boys Volleyball Club. I've been fighting for 4 years to have volleyball recognized as a sport, and I'm still working towards that before I graduate this June. There should be equity in sports, and there clearly isn't. For me personally, it's been really exciting to see how volleyball has grown at Woodson. My freshman year, I was begging my friends to play volleyball with me. I think I only had 4 other people play with me, and if you know anything about volleyball, it's not even enough to play a game. Last year, we had around 25 people, and this year we have over 50 people, which means we had to have 3 teams. What has really been great, volleyball has given me the opportunity to be a leader and become friends with people who I otherwise wouldn't hang out with. In the end, it really makes you wonder why Bill Curran continues to tell us boys that we can't have a varsity sport, and that I hope after this evening you'll all be asking him the same question. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Teresa Cano.
I'm good. Hi. First of all, thank you for letting me come tonight. I've never done anything like this before. I'm a parent of a 7th grader at Glasgow and a 4th grader at Belvedere. And I've been very interested in serving our community in the Mason District area in particular. I've served on the PTA board and elementary school for 3 years. And even when I'd outlived my term, I still helped to volunteer within the community. Right now, we have a big decision to make about middle school athletics. And I did hear that we were considering doing middle school athletics, initially basketball, at the secondary schools. And we in our area are really, really pleading and praying that you will consider the Mason District area as one of the first schools to have a program like this. As you know, most of the schools, if not all the schools in the Mason District area, are Title I pyramid schools with greater than 60% free reduced lunch kids. Most families don't have the money or the means of transportation to drive or to afford to have their children play sports. My daughter's fortunate enough that her parents can drive her all the way to Fairfax County 2 times a week to play basketball, but there's nothing in our area that allows her to grow in that sport. Because of this, our high school sports do tend to fall behind competitively to other Fairfax County public schools. And I also know that in particular, the secondary schools already have a rising freshman program where they can participate as 8th graders in some of the freshman teams. So they already do have that advantage within their school system. Not only do we have the financial and social limitations, but we're also the only region with 6th, 7th, and 8th graders within our middle schools. So we have the largest population of students in the middle school, so we would have a greater need. Oh, it's my time.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Harry Jackson.
Last month, local mother Suparna Dutta took a courageous stand, rejecting socialism and championing American values. Days later, activists for Red for Ed, several of them in this room at this very moment, smeared Ms. Dutta, a Hindu-American woman of color, as a white supremacist. A white supremacist. Here's a history lesson that we need right here in Fairfax County. Considering the current board's acceptance of anti-Israel, anti-Semitism, and its embrace of One Fairfax with its equal outcomes, equity initiative, and anti-merit socialist tenets incompatible with academic excellence. Socialism and democracy are not compatible. In the name of socialist ideals of equal outcomes, FCPS has been in the news for withholding National Merit Scholar Awards from students and withholding honors designations from student transcripts at Thomas Jefferson High School for Science and Technology. These actions clip the wings of our best and brightest, with a disproportionate impact along racial lines affecting our Asian communities. Socialism and the clipping of wings were 2 critical policies of the Nazi regime. Yes, the Nazi regime. Under socialism, the Nazis sought to achieve an equal distribution of wealth, with party members and wealthy industrialists receiving preferential treatment, leading to the deepening of class distinctions as the wealthy continued to get richer. The Nazis also sought to indoctrinate children and youth into the Nazi ideology through their anthem, poetry, literature, and physical training. This including clipping children's wings. Nazi officers physically restrained children from excessive movement or oppression to teach children discipline and obedience. Back then, it was to instill in children a German national identity and loyalty to Nazism. Today, it is designed to build social justice warriors. Socialism leads to government corruption and mismanagement of resources, fails to reward hard work and efficiency, and leads to a lack of motivation and innovation. With mental health and SAT scores plummeting, it is exactly this dumbing down society that we are seeing today in Fairfax County, Virginia.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Helen Miller.
My name is Helen Miller. February is Love the Bus Month. Coincidentally, my daughter, a junior in high school, was almost hit by a driver as she exited the school bus at our stop last Wednesday, by a driver who drove around the stop bus on the right side, that is the side that the students exit on, and onto the shoulder, almost hitting my daughter. She jumped out of the way just in time, but the car barely slowed down. With the help of Ms. Tolan, which I greatly appreciate, these incidents have been confirmed by FCPS Transportation, and this car and driver were in violation of the law. The driver is guilty of reckless driving. Transportation found this because the bus has a side camera. However, they were not able to identify the car or driver. Why? Because the school bus does not have a stop arm camera, which would have taken a picture of the license plate. Numerous other school systems, large and small, already have cameras. Why not FCPS? I've tried to bring attention to cars blowing past stop school buses since 2016 and was told then that it's a community issue, so the schools wouldn't send any school bus safety reminders. Who will take responsibility for school bus safety then? It's a community issue, as I've been told, but apparently no one's responsibility, yet it's everyone's problem. We need community action from everyone, and we need a communications and enforcement strategy. Stop arm cameras are an enforcement tool that helps extend our stretched police capacity and ID cars in violation at the source. Money has been appropriated for cameras. The Board of Supervisors approved stop arm cameras unanimously in 2013, 10 years ago. As for communications, here is a reminder on the law. On roadways with 2 lanes with a center turn lane, and 4 lanes, all traffic in both directions must stop for a stop bus. On a roadway divided by a median, all lanes traveling in the same direction as the bus must stop for a stopped bus, even if there are multiple lanes. You have the authority and you have the money. Stop delaying and do it now.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Norma Margulies.
Good evening. I've been informed that the Chief Equity Officer, Nardos King, is conducting several focus groups to develop an equity strategy within FCPS that will be submitted to this board for your approval. We all know that this board is the Equity Crusader based on the several speeches and contracts that you continue to award to your favorite equity consultants. Well, yet, when it comes to providing students with the tools to succeed, this board has turned the page. For example, why you not taking any action to implement the after-school math and robotics clubs that I proposed to you several months ago? You all know that education loss in the math fields is severe, particularly among students of color. Why you have not implemented any measures to address the lack of use by Hispanic students of Tutor.com? You know that this service is scarcely used by low-income Hispanic students. Why you have not said a word about what is going on with the National Merit Commendation Awards scandal at Thomas Jefferson High School for Science and Technology? This week, I sent you an email, a link to access the recent article by Ms. Asra Nomani with the FOIA findings of 2,000 emails that prove that the principal, Ms. Ambonatavos, the director of student services, Mr. Krusalka, some teachers and some counselors willfully delayed the notification of this important award. Why you haven't implemented a plan to integrate computer science from K to 12, from K to 8th grade? You know very well that students with disabilities, such as dyslexia, have the right to use some credits in computer science to obtain their diplomas instead of foreign languages. The Virginia Code prescribes these rights, yet the students lack the basic foundation, including vocabulary, to undertake these classes starting at high school. I guess this board prefers to award contracts for consultants. It is clear that this board...
Thank you. Our next speaker is Lori Prendergast.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to speak. My purpose here tonight is to talk to you about the need to recognize boys volleyball as a varsity sport in Fairfax County. As many of you may or may not know, volleyball as a varsity sport is actually a sanctioned sport through VHSL. In Fairfax County, for some reason, it is not a recognized sport. I am a parent of a senior. He just spoke a little while ago. He's been playing since 4th grade. I'm also the head coach of the underground Woodson boys volleyball program. It has been an amazing experience to see this sport grow so quickly in the region. As my son mentioned, 4 years ago, we could barely muster a team. We were begging, borrowing, stealing players as we could. This year, we had over 50 players. I actually had to turn players away at one point. We had 3 teams. This is not unique to Woodson. This is across the board at every single high school here in Fairfax County. Now, we have been working, at least myself, other people have been working for 6 years to have our athletic director approve this as a varsity sport. We have been met with denials, stonewalling, ignorance, phone calls not returned, refusals to have meetings. For most of my players, this is the only sport that they have. Some of them are from broken homes. This is a great way for them to have an outlet for them to come that they would never really have an opportunity to have. It's camaraderie and teamwork, and I'm asking the school board to give Bill Kern a call, ask him why he's denying these boys the access to an incredible sport that is growing not just here but nationally. Once again, I just thank the board for the time.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Steve Tunley.
I'm the father of a 2022 graduate of South Lakes High School, who's now a freshman at the University of Virginia, where she's majoring in chemical engineering. When she came home for the holidays in December, I asked her about her first semester. She said that she had gotten a 4.0 GPA and it was the easiest 4 months of her life. How could that be? I asked. She said that the IB program at South Lakes had been so rigorous that her first semester at UVA had basically been all review of what she had learned in high school. I picked up my son tonight from soccer tryouts for Herndon High School. I saw white kids and African American kids and Hispanic kids and Asian kids laughing, fist bumping, high-fiving each other, and generally having a great time. In 10+ years of attending Fairfax County Public Schools events, I've never seen a fight, never seen a shoving match, never heard a racial slur, or seen a boy acting inappropriately with a girl. It's a much better world than that which I grew up in. I've got to believe at least some of that is because, for example, anti-bullying campaigns from elementary school and other social and emotional learning programs that are taught in Fairfax County Public Schools. Indoctrination. I don't believe indoctrination is happening, and frankly, I don't mind teachers sharing their opinions on political and social topics with my children. I believe my children benefit from hearing from different political views, cultures, religions, and I'm not threatened by that. I don't want my children to be exactly like me. I want my children to be better than me. In closing, I'd like to thank from the bottom of my heart every teacher and other Fairfax County school employee that have in some small way contributed to my children's educational, social, and emotional development. I couldn't be happier.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Kevin Engdahl. Kevin Engdahl. Our next speaker is Silk Fundaro.
Good evening. My name is Silke Fundaro, and I have been driving bus for Lake Braddock for the last 6 years. I would like to take a moment to thank Dr. Reed for recognizing us bus drivers yesterday during the strategic planning meeting. It meant a lot to us. Thank you so much. It was Bus Driver Appreciation Day yesterday. The last time I spoke to you as an individual. Tonight I would like to address you as the chair of the Bus Driver and Attendants Advice Council. You heard from 2 of my colleagues at the last meeting who wished to voice their own opinion on collective bargaining. I speak for the ones who have elected me to do so by the rules of our bylaws. This fall, many of our peers started to ask questions about collective bargaining and even reached out to now retired representatives of the teams for answers. Few were given. Many of my peers started to approach their team representatives, like me, and our council. We decided it was in our best interest for everyone in transportation to give them the option to speak their thoughts, and reached out. With a very simple and non-biased survey to gather information, we approached our best resources, our diverse group of coworkers, and got help to even translate it into 7 different languages in English to make it easier to understand. From the 49% that responded, a rather good turnout for a survey that was done quickly and with very few resources, 70% expressed their wishes to have their own voice heard. If you had the chance to be included in the work team earlier, or had the chance to educate our coworkers on collective bargaining, the numbers probably would be higher. Thank you all for your patience and your willingness to listen to all of us. We truly appreciate all of you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Diana Smith. Diana Smith. Our next speaker is Dion Dixon.
Good evening. Between 2019 and 2022, the average SAT scores in FCPS fell 33 points, from an average score of 1218 to 1185. While it might be convenient to blame the global pandemic, the national average only fell by 9 points, and the Virginia statewide average actually rose 5 points during the same period. Also during this period, the reading SOL pass rate dropped from 81 to 79%, mathematics from 86 to 74%, and science from 84 to 72%. You have lost focus on your purpose here. This county's quest for equal outcomes for all is a race to the bottom. We are all born with different gifts, different skills, and therefore different abilities in life. Pursuing equal outcomes for all in math, science, literature, and social studies can only result in the top performers being stunted in their progress while the less gifted set the pace of instruction. Everyone is forced to learn to the level and at the pace of the least capable pupil in the class. Equal outcomes did not produce the internet, the iPhone, or the electric car. Equal outcomes will not produce a revolution in green energy or navigate us through this economic recession. What physicist, author, or statesman will fail to make their great breakthrough because you denied them access to advanced academics in your quest for equal outcomes? If children are not encouraged to continue to excel in areas where they are gifted, why would they continue to put in the effort? If they are rewarded the same no matter their level of effort, they quickly realize that maximum return on their work is achieved by contributing the least. Anyone who has studied history knows that this philosophy is unsustainable and portends the collapse of even the mightiest nations. The evidence shows that you're helping no one.
Thank you. Our next speaker is student number 4. Our next speaker is David Hatcher.
So, board members, aren't we also proud? Our relatively new district superintendent is now a national rock star for endorsing racial discrimination. Local TV stations, newspapers, wire services, CNN, Fox, and the UK Daily Mail all herald her instant stardom. First, she supported the Brain Dead campaign against Asian American kids and others at several high schools, keeping national merit scores and achievements hidden. Now, showering a sole source contract on her confidant, Mutiu Mogbai, $500,000 sole source contract, less than 10%. So he could unveil his equity-based centered strategic plan when equity remains amorphous. Sole source over $400,000. Any audits to measure success? Now I learn we have a new Chief Experience and Engagement Officer, whatever that is, and something I'll learn more about in future speeches. We know Dr. Reed is merely following predecessors. Dr. Karen Garza resigned abruptly under a conflict of interest cloud, took a job with lesser pay at an FCPS vendor. And placeholder Scotty Braband, whose misguided COVID decisions led to a severe drop in SAT scores among our kids, dropping 27 points in 4 years. National scores averaged about the same, flat. In Virginia, other places rose 14%. I predict you'll long regret the comment, equal outcomes for every student without exception. Some of us see that as code for critical race theory, racial discrimination, and cultural Marxism. But hey, good material for future speeches. What do you think you'll be called by the school board for?
Thank you. Our next speaker is Vanessa Hall.
You get to me. Hi, I'm Vanessa Hall. I have 2 kids in FCPS in the Woodson Pyramid. I wanted to say that I'm thrilled to see excellence, equity, and opportunity as pathways to success for our students. Seeking the best for each and every one of our kids is essential to preparing them for positive life experiences, both in and out of school. However, I really want you to think about the definition of excellence. During strategic planning meetings, many have felt that excellence is not well defined, or its interpretation can be exclusionary, especially when success is typically measured by standardized tests or includes classes that are inaccessible to many learners. If we measure excellence via test scores or the number of national merit finalists we produce, how can kids who test poorly, like my dyslexic daughter, ever expect to achieve excellence? For example, did you know that state SOLs are administered in English for our English language learners? Therefore, we're not testing their subject matter ability, which is why you see that students with more years of English do better on the SOLs. All students deserve equitable opportunities for excellence beyond a test score. I ask that we look to excellence in the broadest sense. It is the quality of excelling or being one's very best. That means that each and every student is given an opportunity to achieve excellence regardless of background, income, ability, language, or gender. If we focus solely on test scores, then we leave behind disabled, dyslexic, English language learners, and so many others. To achieve the goal of excellence, equity comes into play, giving each student the support and resources they need to succeed. Equity does not bring anyone down, rather it recognizes that we do not all start from the same space, and that additional resources can bring every student up to ensure that they have the opportunity for excellence in school and life. Equity is a critical tool for excellence, and thank you all very much for supporting it.
Thank you. That was our final speaker. We also have one video testimony submitted by Heather Grinberg.
Good evening. My name is Heather, and I'm an FCPS school bus driver of over 16 years. I and my colleagues have already spoken at length to most of you about the intricacies of our jobs as they pertain to collective bargaining. So tonight I'd like to talk instead about what's simple. From the Code of Virginia, Section 40.1-57.2c, as presented to the Collective Bargaining Workgroup. Where no collective bargaining resolution has been adopted, employees in a unit considered by them to be appropriate may initiate a request for bargaining. We've presented to the board the results of a survey sent to transportation staff, showing that over 70% of respondents would feel best represented in our own unit. A simple amendment in Section 6A of the draft resolution, 4 bargaining units. Number 4. Transportation. Pretty simple. And if that amendment were made, what would happen next? The resolution would still pass, we hope. That would still happen, I think. The administration unit would begin the process of choosing their union. That would still be the same. Instructional staff would go about beginning to choose their union. Yes, that would still be the same. A slightly smaller operational unit would start working on choosing the union that they would like. That would be the same. And then transportation staff would start choosing the union that could best represent us. That's it. Us choosing the association that would best represent us does nothing to harm or detract from any other unit. It makes you wonder how anyone could be opposed. Why would you be? What dominion does any other bargaining group have over us and our needs? We are adults, professionals, and we are telling you that no one knows what's best for us, except for us. By the way, that same survey showed that 95% of respondents in transportation want collective bargaining to pass in some form. So please, I'm asking you to pass collective bargaining, but do so with the one simple amendment that we are asking for. I thank you.
Thank you. Agenda item 3.02, strategic plan update. I call on Dr. Reed.